favorite entrepreneur here, Sierra Nicole, and we are back with another episode of The Boss Seat. The Boss Seat is a show where we interview different individuals who are absolutely killing it in their respective fields, and you get the chance to see what it costs to really be a boss. But before we dive in, let's take a quick look at one of our sponsors. This episode is in partnership with Tailor Brands. Tailor Brands is an all-in-one platform that brings affordable branding and design to any entrepreneur or small business owner. Tailor Brands makes it super easy to kickstart your business idea and look professional online with tools like an online logo maker, branded business cards, website builder, domains, and even branded designs for social media. Just go to tailorbrands.com, try it for free, and when you're ready to purchase, use the coupon code SierraNicole20 to get 20% off. Today's episode, we have a super special guest. Chris, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Sure. So my name's Chris James. I'm the creator of A.Healthy.Alternative wellness brand. I teach those who are interested in wellness how to heal naturally. So that's kind of what I do. We focus on fasting, dietary strategies, as well as mental, anything that's kind of in that realm. I like to dabble in it. So, yeah.
That is amazing. And, I actually found you on YouTube. My fiance, he's the one who actually, watches you often. And I've actually done intermittent fasting myself. But what got you into this journey of just living a healthier life?
That's a story. It started with a broken heart, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, funny enough. I was going through like a depression, and that depression caused me to reach out to my family and really like seek like help, right? I'm that type of dude that I'm always the one that people come to for help. So I was seeking help, and through that journey, I started to focus more on my spirituality, and then from there, I started hearing things like, you shouldn't eat this type of food, you shouldn't wear these types of clothes, and I was like, why, right? So then I found this guy on YouTube, Dave Murphy, who was doing these fasting experiments and things like that, as well as Dr. Sebi, which most people are familiar with. And I started to just test. I was like, well, let me see if what they're talking about makes sense. And the first thing I did was a month of vegetarian. Like I stopped eating meat, and I lost weight in problematic areas. I felt more energy. I was like, there's something to this. So from that point forward, I was hooked.
How much weight did you lose during that journey?
Through the whole journey?
Yeah.
Most people don't know this, but I actually lost 90 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I've put some of it back on because I got too low, right? But yeah, I actually lost 90 pounds.
Wow, that is amazing. And how long? Like, what was the time frame?
I would say that it was probably about 3 years for me. Because my goal was never to lose weight. So my goal was always like health. But through this journey, I started to learn about what healthy weight is. And you know what I mean? So my body naturally started to lose as I was eating better and, doing all the right things.
Okay. Yeah. So for those in the audience who may not know, what is fasting or some of the other topics that you teach about, can you just dive into that a little bit?
Yeah. So fasting... we typically today talk about water fasting, all right? So water fasting is you're going to drink just water. You're not going to consume any food, no juice, nothing like that, just water. Traditional fasting is no water, no food, right? Okay. So we call that dry fasting.
Right.
So that's something else. But the most popular fasting probably is intermittent fasting.
Right.
That's where I'm actually doing that today. That's where you wake up and you push your break fast out. You could typically push it out, 16 hours or, it depends on the person. And what that does is it allows the body more time to digest the food, right? Like that's the biggest issue we have is our bodies get all backed up. You imagine if it's like sewage or your drain pipes at the house, if it gets clogged up with grease and oil and hair, it doesn't drain well. Well, that's the same thing with your body. So fasting allows you to kind of clear that out and drain it.
Right. It's interesting. I'm sure because, like I said, I've done intermittent fasting before, and I know that it's not an easy process mentally to, get started and to really be successful in. What are some obstacles that you had to face, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, fasting is definitely a mental game, but
Right.
there are the physical ramifications. So, one of the obstacles that I had to overcome was cravings, right? That and
Right.
that happened early on. So what happens is when you start fasting, you're actually going to start expelling the chemical constituents that make up these toxic foods that are in our body. It's part of the detox process, and we experience it as cravings. So the worst thing you could do is when you're fasting, you're like, man, I'm really craving some chocolate cake or something, and then you break your fast for chocolate cake. Or you misconstrue what the body is saying and you think, oh, the body's telling me there's something in cake that I need, like I need some cacao or whatever,
Right.
right? Some nutrient, and you go and have it. That's the worst thing you could do because your body is actually telling you, hey, I'm letting this stuff go finally. Do not consume it again, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's interesting because I know I've experienced cravings before, and I'm sure a lot of people watching have experienced that, but I didn't know the reason why. So that's actually really, really interesting. I know that you've been building your social media platform and you're educating a lot of people on this. With building that, what are some obstacles that you may have had to face? Because I know that, fasting period or intermittent fasting can sometimes be a controversial topic when in the health field. So what are some things that you had to kind of deal with while building up your platform?
Uh, well, the probably one of the most prominent things is people thinking that they're going to die from doing it or that the information I'm putting out there is going to kill people. Like early on, that was probably the biggest thing. Even for me personally, like my friends and family who weren't on board, they're like, yeah, Chris, you're going to kill yourself. So it's there's not a ton of research because it's unethical to kind of research humans fasting in the way that we teach. But there's a lot of information about what you would consider caloric restriction, and see people misconstrue caloric restriction and fasting, especially when it comes to the studies, and so that causes a lot of issues and misinformation, and people, they're worried about their basal metabolic rate, and they think that if they fast, they're going to damage their metabolism,
Right.
and then they're going to gain all the weight back faster than they put it on. But this is just not really understanding how the body works. So that was definitely a big one.
And for those who may not know, so what are the benefits of fasting?
Oh man, how much time do we have? You're literally talking everything from as simple as more energy, to the reversal of diseases that you might find to be incurable or whatever. Allergies. So my brother John, he was one of the first people that I worked with, right? And he was dealing with a pre-diabetic condition. He had just been diagnosed, and I thought it was weird because the doctor wasn't interested in telling him how he could reverse it or avoid diabetes. They were like, "Yo, come back in 3 months, and we'll have your prescriptions ready. We'll get you rocked out."
Right.
So through a fasting schedule that we actually created called the 5-2. And a little bit of juice fasting, we were able to completely reverse his diabetic condition.
Wow.
And we've done that. We've duplicated that with plenty members from the community as well as other members in my family. Everything from pre-diabetic to full-blown diabetes. So you're talking infertility. That was a big one. So we have a ton of women in the group. And, there's couples that can't get pregnant. They've been trying to get pregnant for 3 months, 10 months, 10 years, one couple. And just after fasting, I know one couple was fasting for maybe about a month, 30 days. They were pregnant. So,
Wow.
yeah, we get to see that pretty often.
It's interesting because we don't always think about the foods that we're eating and the effects after, that they may have on our bodies. And so to hear that is amazing. And are you training or I guess teaching people to change the way they eat also, or is it just, changing that schedule?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the brand itself is exactly how it sounds, a healthy alternative, and you can apply that to all aspects of the wellness journey. So fasting has just become one of those things that it's known for, right? But we talk about dietary habits. It's so important to focus on like what's the right thing to eat. Like everybody's so confused about what's actually good and what's bad, right? So what I teach are it's kind of like the baseline. Like what are foods that everyone consume that are going to be healthy? And then you can kind of build from that based on, your beliefs and everything. But the best thing I could say is high water content foods. Like fruits and vegetables. That's literally the best thing. Coconut water from a real coconut is phenomenal for you, right? You get the structured water, so you're going to hydrate really well. That hydration allows the cells to release cellular waste and toxicity. It helps with inflammation, right? Most of our diseases and stuff are stemming from things like inflammation, mucus, right? These are very simple core issues that if we address through diet, fasting, etc., we don't have them anymore. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. And I know especially within the Black community, there are a lot of underlying health issues. And I know with, everything going on and the shutdowns, the Black community has been affected. Do you get positive feedback for the education that you are giving to the community?
Oh, the feedback's amazing.
Awesome.
I have to be honest and say that if it weren't for the interaction that I get and being able to actually see people go through their journey, I don't know if I'd still be doing this because there's this energetic exchange, right? Like the information and everything I put out there, I see it as energy. And I only have X amount of energy. So I'm putting it out, and then I'm going to run out. So when I get it back is when someone's like, yo, Chris, I listened to your video, or I've been watching the channel for a while, or I tried this method you talked about, and now I don't have diabetes. Now I've lost 100 pounds. Now me and my husband are pregnant, right? So then that's them restoring me, and it's been amazing.
That is amazing. As far as your, personal journey with your business, I know that you have an app that's being developed. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the app is we haven't titled it yet. We're gonna let the community, but I'm calling it the AHA Wellness app. The goal is to combine all of the wellness tools that are available out there, specifically related to fasting and diet and things like that, and put it all into one package, but also create a community that can support, all of the tools and everything as well. So we've got a really big following on Facebook. And one of the things that I noticed is I don't have access to my group and my community the way that I need to really disseminate information just because of censorship and things like that. So I figured through this app, we can create that community or really just mirror over what we already have available. But one of the really cool things about the app is we have a feature where you could put your phone down and you'll just kind of do this little stance, and it will scan your body, and it'll tell you, how many inches you have on your wrist or your waist, your bust size, things like that. And so as you're losing weight in real time, you'll see that 3D rendering getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And then, of course, we're going to allow you to customize it like a Bitmoji. So that'll be
fun. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Where can, if someone's watching and wants to get connected with your app, where can they find the information for it?
So you'll probably have to find it on A.Healthy.Alternative.org, the website, my YouTube channel, A Healthy Alternative on YouTube, and or the Facebook group, which is A Healthy Alternative. My Instagram too. I've got it. I've got it everywhere. Yeah. Like if you can find me, you can find information about the app.
Awesome. Yes, and definitely, I encourage all of you guys to really check that out. Because I know you've built up an amazing and a very strong community. And I have a lot of business owners who are going to watch this interview. When it comes to actually building up that brand, I know you're in the health field, but what are maybe some tips that you can give someone who is trying to build a brand like you've built with your Facebook community or your YouTube channel?
I feel like my aunt used to call us the microwave generation, right? Like we want everything right now as quick as possible. But just like the microwave, when you cook food that way, it might be quick and fast, but it's very bad for the body, right? So if you look at your business in a similar way, you want to build your base very slowly and surely. So my favorite actor, Will Smith, he talks about how his father taught him about building a wall, right? You want to build the biggest, greatest, best wall. But nobody says, I'm going to build this amazing, huge wall. They say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can lay, right? And then eventually, after time, you're laying each brick and you have this amazing wall. So the way I built AHA was through one-on-one interactions with the community, right? Having that my finger on the pulse allows me to offer services and products, right, in real time. What do people really need, because I'm really connected.
Right.
So the most important piece to building the type of brand I have is being connected to the community. That's why with the app, I don't need to do a ton of research.
Right.
What do people need? What do they want? I already know.
Right.
Right? I'm the same as they are. So that would be probably, if I said one thing, interact with your audience, your group, and be immersed.
How do you balance that? Because you do have a pretty big following and audience, trying to connect with so many people. How do you balance that along with, your personal life, your business, all of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. My brother asked me that a couple months ago. It's kind of like, okay, so I don't know. See, let me say this for the guys out there, right? If you've ever like wanted to jump in the shower with your girl, right? She's got the shower going. You want to hop in, maybe wash your back, whatever. And as soon as you touch the water is scalding hot. You're like, how can you be in this hot water?
Right.
It's because you've taken the time to let your body adjust to the temperature, right? You didn't just turn it on blast and then just,
Right.
It's like your body's had time to adjust. And so for me, I think the slow growth has allowed me that adjustment period, so that it looks wild from the outside, but I've had time to work on the inner workings, because I built it so slow. Right. So I would also say systems. Like I've got a ton of systems. I've got programs that help me with my scheduling. I've got calendars. I've got all of that stuff has helped. And you find which system makes sense as you're growing your business, but you just got to look for it. Yeah.
That's really good. That's really good insight. Slow and steady wins the race is what they say. And like you said, we are kind of that microwave generation where we want things quick, fast, in a hurry. But having that stable, foundation, I guess, has really helped you with being able to balance everything and with scaling, because you've really been able to scale your brand. So that's really some good insight.
Yeah. Scale. I mean, your business has to be scalable.
Right.
Right. Like if you're one might look at what I did early on like that's not scalable. I actually had a long conversation with a lady who was like, what you're doing isn't scalable. It's got to be scalable.
Right.
And so I was looking at ways to scale. Affiliations, right? You build affiliations with people. Like maybe I can't blog every day, right? I can't blog. I can't do the videos. I can't do all that. But open up doors for other people, right? As you're building your business, you're going to find opportunities for other people, right? So I have partners. Like people see me, but I'm not the whole brand. There's several people. I have a small team that helps put everything together, and that's who we are. It's a team of us.
And having a team is so important. If you guys are familiar with my content at all, I talk about that a lot, because it does take a team. They say it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a team to raise a business.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to building a team, what are some things that have helped you, being able to be that leader for your team?
You ask good questions. You clearly know what you're talking about. You ask. So for me, right, I wanted team members who were invested in the brand. It's not a job, right? The reason I do what I do and the reason I left my professional field is not to go and find another job. It's to follow my passion. And, I love that idea that if you find something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life, right? So I want the people around me to feel the same. So I do my best to find people who are already in the community or already on that path. I'll reach outside if I really need to, but usually that's contract work. If you're going to be a part of the brand and kind of help build the business, I want you to be a part of the community. And then also treat them that way, right? Like treat them like partners versus employees. And so you're building that relationship, that trust. When people believe that the business or whatever is their business, then they treat it much differently.
Right.
Right. If I have all the resources in the world, I got billions of dollars. It's not the same as I could pay someone to do something, but it wouldn't be the same as someone who just loves whatever that is and does it because for the love of doing it.
Right.
It's just never going to be the same. So that's how I've built my business, and it's a small knit team, right? But we all really work well together. So no conflict, none of that internal fighting, so we can build much faster.
And that's really important. And you really dropped some gems there, and I kind of want to dive into that just a little bit with building those relationships. And I know you said you've left your I guess profession to do this. What were you doing before?
Yeah, I was an electrician.
Okay.
Yeah, when I moved to Dallas, I started as an apprentice, and I did electrical work for 6 years. Yeah.
What was that like? Because I've also quit corporate America. But I know that transition sometimes is difficult to now having your own business. And like you said, you don't want to move into another job with your business. But what was that transition like for you?
People say that you can never be ready for children. You can never be ready to leave your job. I guess I don't really agree. I think that mentally I was really prepared, right? Now, everything wasn't perfect. I wanted to have more money in the bank. Like, I didn't leave my job exactly at the right time.
Right.
But it's always the right time if you're mentally ready. So I did a lot of mental preparation ahead of time, and I played with the idea in my mind. They say everything starts as a thought. Right? Thoughts are energy. Before any action ever takes place, there's a thought. So that mental work is really important. Just pretend like you're not working your job anymore and you have bills and you've got, investments and things you want to do, and create that scenario in your mind as much as possible. If you're not a great visual person, maybe write it out, right? And that helped me prepare a lot. But the transition was honestly what most people would probably think scary. Right? It wasn't perfect. I was investing a lot. I left my job, then I invested like $11,000 in a program that was going to help me learn to build my academy, right? Which I didn't know if the academy was going to do well. I had no clue, but I trusted my own worth, and I trusted the community and what I was building. And so it was. Some people would say it was scary. I guess maybe I'm just a risk taker.
Right.
You know what I mean? I enjoyed the ride, and then of course it paid off. But it wasn't easy at all. Like, it's never gonna be easy.
Right, and it's easy, especially we're in the social media era. And we only see the surface.
Right.
So we don't see all the sacrifices that you had to make on the back end. And I think you've really built an amazing brand. So I really commend you for that. And if you guys are watching this live right now, make sure you put down in the comments, believe in yourself. I think it's really important that you had that confidence and you believed in yourself, even when you did, like you said, it wasn't the perfect time, but you believed that you would make it happen. So I think that's really amazing. I want you to touch on your book a little bit. I know that you're also an author.
Yeah, so can I grab it?
Yeah.
My book is Metamorphosis: A Journey to Holistic Wellness. It's interesting because I started writing this book like 2.5, 3 years ago. And at the time, I didn't want to write a book. But people were like, Chris, you should write a book. And I'm like, I want to let the journey unfold a little bit more, right? And so I decided, well, let's release a book during the pandemic. That'll be smart.
Right.
It was grueling. It was really, really tough releasing the book during this time, just dealing with the distributors and the actual manufacturing of the book and all that. But the process of making the book was seamless. I really just talked about my experience, and it was good because I was able to draw from the community and bring their testimonials in, and really just outline what's the best way to start from point A to get to point B or Z, right? Wherever you want to be in life and be successful and do it efficiently, right? So the book talks about fasting. It talks a little bit about the birth of a healthy alternative and the concept and how it all kind of developed. And then we also talk about some solutions like essential oils. You know, essential oils or just going back to nature and plants. And all of the drugs that are available now, all of the science used to create the drugs, it all comes from plants. It all starts there.
Right.
So why not go back to the plants? We can get the solutions without all the crazy side effects.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And definitely I'll make sure I go ahead and link the link for the book down in the description box of this video. So make sure you guys check that out. And Chris, I don't want to hold you too long, but I so appreciate you coming in here and sharing your insight and really dropping some gems for us. But everyone who comes on the show, I ask them this one question because this is called the boss seat. And I feel like you are a boss within your field. So what does that mean to you? What does it mean when someone says, oh, I'm a boss or you're a boss? What does it mean to be a boss?
You know, a boss is a leader, right? It's someone who has followed, but now is the one who's kind of showing the way. It's important that you don't just command and tell people and whatever. You want to show them how to do it.
Right.
It's also somebody who you know walks the walk and as well as talks the talk. Like, I can't talk about health and wellness if I'm not that, right?
Absolutely.
So I always want to portray what it is that I'm talking about, and I think that if that's what you're doing, if whatever it is that if you're promoting fashion or hair, makeup, whatever it is, if you look good, you know your makeup is on point,
Right.
or whatever the case is, then you're a boss.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Leading by example. Leading by example. If you guys are watching this live, go ahead and throw that down in the comments. Lead by example. Because that is so important, especially when you are building a team, building a business, or building a brand. So again, Chris, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time out to talk about your journey, to educate us a little bit in the health and wellness field. I so appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Can you let us know again where we can find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube, Healthy Alternative. You can also find me on my website, A.Healthy.Alternative.org, and then you can catch me on IG at A.Healthy.Alternative on IG.
Awesome. And we'll also make sure we link those down in the description box. Again, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of The Boss Seat, and we're going to catch you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of The Boss Seat. Make sure you are catching me over on the Live Waves app where we are doing some free bonus content just for you. You can download the app for free in your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, and we'll catch you guys there in a few minutes.